Guys, so I want to kind of recap on the P-10Cs. We have, I think, 5 of them in the shop now. The business personally owns 3. So we have a lot of questions about our P-10Cs. This one is a bone stock P-10C. The only thing that's been done to this gun, if you look, I've driven that pin out. The only thing that's been done to this gun is I removed the front frame insert from this gun, the rail insert, and put it into this gun. Reason being, I had a Generation 1 HB Industries trigger, and we were working with them on some product testing with this, and we did find that the black P-10Cs, the first gen that came into the country, the black ones, had a different radius on the front frame insert as the flat dark earth. We've had a lot of people, clients, friends, and people comment on YouTube like, oh, I bought an HB Industries trigger, it doesn't work in my flat dark earth gun. Well, that's because your gun probably falls under a certain series of serial numbers that might have had a different manufactured frame insert. Just so people understand, all gun companies that exist farm out certain components of their manufacturing to other machine shops, other shops. It's just something that always occurs. In this case, CZ had a different manufacturer overseas that manufactured the front frame insert that had a slightly different radius, slightly different tolerances for the first run of these and the first run of these. So HB Industries has then sent us a different trigger to put in this gun that fits that style of frame insert. So that's just one of the things that we wanted to talk about today. CZ, I believe CZ UB, which is the Czech CZ, is now, they are now sending these out with the proper night sights that they were originally advertised as. Right now I'm running a Dawson rear sight and a factory CZ front blade for a P-07, and this is a night sight. It's a different version height night sight from the P-07 series that was pressed in here. This was kind of a combination of sights that I worked with CZ to kind of figure out what was going to work best for the factory slide. This is a Glock rear dovetail, so this was cut, and the dovetail was cut for a Glock, and then this Glock sight was pressed in. A lot of people ask if this is an absolute co-witness. Probably going to be tough to see, but this rear sight is just over the height of my RMR, and you can see just the top of the front sight. So I like the fact that I have a very clear field of view, and if my optic was turned off, I could still use the top of my sights, which is totally fine with me. I have enough proficiency in firearms that I have no problem with that. Dawson does make a CZ P-10C absolute co-witness, which I purchased from Jaegerworks. I bought a set from them. I have not installed it on any guns yet because I have a Innovative Gunfighter Solutions P-10C slide coming back. We did some work with them, and they're kind of using us as a guinea pig on the P-10C. So I'll be pressing in those Dawsons onto that slide once that comes back. I'm running a Cajun Gunworks full-length stainless steel guide rod. This is the P-07 one. It's slightly shorter than the standard P-10C guide rod, but it works fine. This guide rod has close to 12,000 rounds on it in this gun. I actually took this out of my P-07, which had probably an additional 5,000 rounds. And I'm using the uncaptured ribbon spring that came with the P-10C. I cut the end off the captured assembly and then just put it in here. Is that the right way to do it? No, you should probably switch over to a 1911 style spring, cut down to the right size and demo it, but I'd rather go with a factory setup, and I've had no issues. This is factory barrel. I am running a sealing plate on this because of the way that the P-10C is tapered. It does leave some of the gasket on the RMR, the electric RMRs, and the dual illumination. It does leave part of the gasket exposed. Again, I bought that sealing plate from Jaegerworks, so that's cool. So just to revisit, I was having some issues with this trigger when I first installed it in this gun. I was having some dead trigger issues, but we had figured out that issue with HB Industries. So now I have this frame insert in here, and I have close to 2,000 rounds on this trigger now in this platform, and I've had no issues since then. So no more dead triggers, no nothing. I am running a Glock specific APLC. If you have questions of what guns the APLC fits, we do have a video up for a couple of weeks now that shows the differences between the Gen 1, Gen 2 Glock APLCs and the Universal. But this is my carry gun. This is what I carry every day. This is our shop gun, and I will be running another P-10C soon. The last thing I just want to bring up is what I did to a P-10C. I didn't like the original trigger because this little fob, the safety fob in here, see how far up? You can see if I pull my finger into it, my finger actually gets pinched underneath it. The factory trigger is, I wish it was a little different because it does have some, it does pinch you. A lot of people got rid of their guns because of that instead of searching for an aftermarket solution. There are plenty of aftermarket solutions like the HB Industries trigger. Cajun Gunworks is now coming out with their own trigger pretty soon for it. And I think one other person might be selling a trigger. This trigger definitely alleviates a lot of the issue. I get a little tiny bit of bite, but not anywhere to the degree of the factory trigger. So this is definitely a great alternative, and it's very easy to install if you have the correct punches. Very simple assembly to pull out. Just a lot of pins, but they're not difficult to move out. Anyway, the last thing I've done to this is I put this on a buffing wheel, and you can see how it's not symmetrical in the back of the slide. This side's a little bit more square, while this side is much more rounded. That is because I ride very high up on the gun, on guns in general, and I had to round that out because I was getting some hot spots on my hand here. But, you know, every gun's always going to have its issues. With each user, you're going to find whatever niche works best for you. And guys, click like, subscribe, check us out, leave a comment. We love to hear feedback.